Hello and welcome to another presentation of MAE103, which is Measurement in Intermediate and Senior Phase Mathematics. I am your host and your primary lecturer, Mr. Ngoveni. In this video, I'll take you through some of the pointers where I think they will assist you in preparation for your forthcoming examinations. Right, let's start by looking at the activities that we used throughout the year to support you. We've got 2 tutors allocated for this module. Each of you have been allocated to one of these tutors. So, having said that this is not the only mode that we used to support you. We also using WhatsApp groups, and I request you in this regard to join these WhatsApp groups as we prepare you for the forthcoming examinations. We also use videos. This is not the first video that we recorded this year. So these videos are meant to make your life at ease as you prepare, as you study, or when you are writing your assignments. At least they simplify your job. On MAE103L, there are activities that are happening there. Anything that you need that is related to this module, you'll always find it at MAE103L. Even the tutors that I mentioned that we're having 2 of them, you find them at MAE103L. That is on your module website. All right. With that said, let's continue and have a look at some of the things that we would love you to be aware of. UNISA is an ODEL institution, and therefore we use emails, we use online platforms to support you. So it is critical in this instance for you to check your MyLife email address or account regularly, say at least 2 times in a week. This will assist you to stay abreast as far as any urgent information that might arise, because we always send it to your MyLife email address. So it is important that you regularly check your email account. And each time when you communicate with us, when you send me an email, do not use your personal email address. Use this MyLife email account. It is important, because if you don't use this email, your email may not be responded to. Okay, let's move on to assignments. All assignments have been marked and returned to you. Feedback has been shared via announcements. You can check your email address, your MyLife email account, or you can visit the module website and check the announcements there. You'll find a copy of your feedback or tutorial letter 201. I'll now focus on a few questions that were a challenge to the majority of you. The first one, construct a special angle of 45 degrees without using a protractor. Now, most teachers, when they graduate and start practicing, they struggle a lot when it comes to constructing a special angle of 45 degrees or any special angle. So I saw it fit to incorporate this question. At least it will prepare you when you go out there. You will be able to say, oh, this one I learned it while I was doing my measurement module. So I included there a link which will take you to a video that is talking about construction of angle 45 degrees. So visit that site and see how this angle is constructed. It is important. Go through that. And you can check how other angles like angle 30, 60 degrees are constructed. So go through all special angles and learn how are they constructed without using a protractor. And it is not acceptable to just draw 90 degrees and divide it into half and say, this is 45 degrees. We need to see if you know the process, the procedure that will lead you into constructing this angle. So bear that in mind. Another question which posed a challenge to majority of you is 1.7. Here, majority of you did not follow the instructions. In simple terms, you were required to find 4 objects. Without these 4 objects, you will not get it right. Most of you would just guess the dimensions of diameter and circumference, which is not what was expected of you. So most of you were result orientated in the sense that they knew that dividing the diameter by circumference will always give them 3.14. So they just went on to give that answer. So, but this was not the aim. The aim of this question was to develop investigation skills in you, help you to see how do we do an investigation. When you go and teach at the schools, you will have activities such as this one whereby you will have to investigate. So you don't need to take shortcuts. So in this case, I mentioned in the first video that you can use a string, find your 4 objects, and then use that string to find the length of each and every object, and find the circumference of each and every object, and also the diameter using that string. And remember, after using the string, you can go to a ruler and find out what exactly the length is. So please make sure that next time you don't take shortcuts. All right. Next, let's go and look at the examinations. The forthcoming examinations will make use of Invigilator app. I know there is an outcry out there about this app where some of you do not even understand why do we need this Invigilator app. It is important to note that this Invigilator app is here to ensure that our qualifications have integrity. So in short, without the introduction of this app, your qualification will be reduced to just a piece of paper. The integrity of our exams depend on this app. So please assist us in this regard. Let us make sure that we follow the instructions and make use of this app. I must also mention it that there are students who are so excited that this app has been introduced because they understand that without this app, it would mean that they are not trained for the qualifications that they would be having. So it is important that we all download this app and ensure that we use it in the forthcoming exams. If you don't use it, yes, you'll get 0. And that's it. There are those students who are saying, last year we didn't use the app and we were not penalized. Some of them are not telling the truth. And if they're telling the truth, it is the exact opposite this time, because each and every student who does not use this app will get 0. And another thing to note, this app is just like any other app. We use, for an example, WhatsApp. WhatsApp. So with the WhatsApp, what happens, we log in order for it to work. So even this invigilator app works like that. You need to log in order for it to work. So you need to ensure that it is installed, and during the exam, you log in. After logging in, it should work. So this is a good tool that will ensure that our institution retains its integrity, and we become proud of this institution that we call ours. So please, 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 let us use this app, right? Let's also talk about uploading. During the examinations, we give you 1 hour at which you have to upload your script. Please use this hour for the purpose of uploading your answer book only. Do not use this hour for any other purpose, right? There are some students who experience some difficulties when they do upload. And my message to these students is, do not wait for the last minute to inform your lecturer that you are struggling. Immediately you realize that I'm struggling, you can wait for, let's say, 30 minutes. Within those 30 minutes, if you are still struggling, inform your lecturer to say, I'm struggling, perhaps your lecturer can assist you. And another thing I've learned over the past exams, some students will always try and relocate during this exam so that they can find areas which have got a better reception. So I suggest that you do the same, if that is possible. Go to an area which has got a better reception and avoid getting stranded because of network coverage. During your actual writing, I advise you to read your questions with understanding. Don't read your question once and say, I know what it's looking for. Read the question again and again. This will help you to understand exactly what is required of you. Why am I saying this? A lot of students fail their exams not because they don't know. They come to the exam room having those answers, but because they don't understand what the question is looking for, they end up failing. In online examinations, we usually ask open-ended questions. These questions require you to articulate your thoughts. It is safe to state that if you can understand the question, you stand a better chance to pass, right? With that said, I'm going to take an example. If the question is, how would you help learners solve the problem? You need to go over this question and try and conceptualize, try and understand what is it looking for. If they say, I must help learners understand, how would you help learners solve the problem? That means for me to help them, I should know how to solve that particular problem. And at times you may want to first solve the problem in order for you to get a sense of how are you going to help your learners. I'm going to repeat. for you to answer this question better, how would you help or teach learners to solve the problem? Let's say you are given a problem, and the follow-up question is, how would you help learners solve this problem? You need to try and solve it yourself. After solving it, then you are at a better position to explain how to solve that particular problem. Right. Let's look at some of the questions that we may expect in the exam. We look at questions that might be looking for prior knowledge. I've already mentioned that it is advisable to first solve the problem in order to see which knowledge is required in this particular problem as prior knowledge. Which knowledge is required in order to solve this problem. So solve this problem in order to have a good sense of what is required of you. The next one that we look at is misconceptions. Misconceptions is a view or opinion that is incorrect because it is based on faulty thinking or understanding. Kindly note that mistakes cannot be classified under misconceptions. This means errors are not necessarily misconceptions, but misconceptions can lead the learner into committing errors. So when they say misconceptions, you need to give the misconception, not errors. You cannot say, for an example, the learner made such and such an error. That would not be a misconception. A misconception should indicate that there is a view that is based on faulty thinking. I hope I'm making myself clear there. So be able to differentiate between misconceptions and mistakes or just errors. Right, next let's look at non-standard units. This concept is so critical that when we teach our young ones, we need to start here. Let our young ones understand the non-standard so that they can be able to relate to the standard units. Non-standard units are used at the beginning of measurement activities. And I give examples there. The first one, index cuts, triangular or rectangular regions may be used as examples of area. Marbles or stones can be used as examples for weight. Body parts such as fingers, hands, or arms may be used as examples of non-standard when we're talking about length. Okay, that is it with non-standard units. Let's now go to capacity. Capacity and volume. Capacity is the maximum amount that something can contain, while volume is the amount of space that a substance or object occupies or that is enclosed within a container. Right. I would love to believe that the two definitions are self-explanatory, but I want us to consider an example such as when you are given a bottle, say the label there is written 1.5 liter. Is this capacity or volume? Before you answer this question, you need to remember that there is always a little space that is left out in almost all the liquids that we purchase. So you need, when you go back to decide if it is volume or capacity, you need to bear that in mind. All right. With that said, I want us to talk about swimming pools. You know, with a swimming pool, it always makes sense that when it is filled, you don't fill it to capacity, but we leave a little bit space there. So that we have the difference between the capacity and volume. Capacity at times is given as liters, milliliters, etc., while volume is given by cubic centimeters, cubic milliliters, cubic meters, so on and so forth. Right. So you need to practice how to calculate the volume and capacity of a swimming pool. You need to know how to calculate the cost of filling up the pool, or maybe to paint it. Know how to do that. All right. With that said, let's move on to net diagram. A net diagram is a two-dimensional plane figure which can be folded to form a three-dimensional figure. How can they assist us? How can they assist us? I've given examples there. So once you have a net diagram, it is very much helpful when it comes to surface area. You can use it to illustrate to learners how to develop a formula for surface area. So net diagrams are very much helpful, or come handy when it comes to calculations of surface area. So bear that in mind. Okay, so with that said, I invite you to join our WhatsApp groups where we'll be practicing. I've got both tutors there. They'll be assisting me so that when there is a need, we can have, let's say, 3 different groups whereby we know each and every student will be accommodated. So make sure that you are part and parcel of those groups, and be assured that come end of the year, when the results comes out, you counted amongst those who made it. With that, I would love to say I wish you all the best in the forthcoming exams. I know you can make it. Just do the right thing. Study. Prepare yourself for these exams. Don't take chances. So with those words, all the best. Thank you.